Whoop. Here we go. Day 2 of Pathfinder Kingmaker. Continue. Okay. Game loaded. Okay, so yeah, we are going to talk to everyone here before we go on our adventure. I'm gonna talk to Oleg first. Okay. A fine day to you. What brings you by? Tell me about yourself. Why open a trading post in such a dangerous place? I just dislike the noise, Oleg answers reluctantly. I'm from Rostov. Cities are complicated. Lots of people and each with their place on the shelf. Bow before this one, fear this other. Don't do business with a third, but be sure to be extra nice to the fourth. And villages are a little better. Everyone likes to stick their noses into each other's business. I just wanted a place where I could be my own master, and so I ended up here. In the middle of nowhere. I need to take care of the Stag Lord. Do you know of anything that could help me find him? That's quite a task you've set yourself on. The Stag Lord has a fortress somewhere in the area, but only a few chosen from the most trusted of his rebel are ever invited. The location of the fortress is a heavily guarded secret, and with this fog hanging around, I'd imagine it would even be harder to find. I suppose you could try to follow the trail of those bandits who attacked the post before. They came from the southwest, from the side of the Thorn River. The fortress might be there, or at least some large camp of theirs where you can find information. Thorn River. The Thorn River meanders through the northern parts of the Nalmor. Low-fetid and teeming with life, the muddy waters flow sluggishly through flooded lands and dense thickets. The locals dare not drink from the Thorn River, and not just because of the filth or the stench. Ravenous beasts lurk in the murky depths, lying in wait and ready at any time to pull their prey from solid ground down to the bottom of the river. Mm. 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 Mm-hmm. What else can you tell me about the Stag Lord? Not much. Not like I've sat down and shared a cup of wine with the man, you know. But I think he arrived in the Stolen Lands less than a year ago, from what I've heard. But soon as he got here, he took over everything. I wrote to Rostov, tried to warn them that the Stag Lord wasn't some typical gang leader, but they didn't listen. The rumors about him are horrible. He'll kill a person if they so much as disagree with him. He never reveals his face. Those who've seen him up close report the same thing. Ugly scars cover every inch of his skin and not covered by his clothes. We'll speak another time. Farewell. Oh, wait. The Stag Lord's past is a mystery. He just arrived one day. He was immediately a power to be reckoned with. I guess the most surprising thing about him is that he has as many followers who admire him as he has minions who obey him out of fear. He's got some inner strength in him, or maybe an inner madness. There are many who seem to follow him because of that madness, like it was some kind of virtue. Okay. Token. Boken puts his hands on his hips. Ha! Old Boken still knows a few tricks to impress these blood-sucking dummies. Enough hiding in the damn bushes, I say. Can I help you in any way? Boken glances at you, suddenly interested. Well, since you're asking, there's a cave nearby. I used to pick berries in there, but the place has been overrun by spiders. The berries are red. Look a lot like raspberries. Fangberries, I call them. I'd be real grateful if you gathered a basket of them and brought them back. Just be quick if you do. They'll spoil quickly. Fangberry cave. Those spiders in the cave are mean. Here, let me give you some alchemical fire. Crafted it myself. Burn those spiders to a crisp. That will teach them for taking over my Fangberry cave. Alchemist fire. I also need a bucket of moon radishes. They are rare and a mysterious plant. I don't know where to find them, but I know that kobolds gather them and value them highly. It's not a huge deal, really. I'll do it myself if I were younger, but if you're willing, I'll pay you. 3 potions for the berries and a purse full of coins for the radishes. Why do you need fangberries and moon radishes, Boken? You want to know, huh? Well, I'll gladly tell you after you bring them some to me. Okay, yeah. Alright, I'll try that. Boken glances at you hopefully. Just watch out, alright? Don't end up someone's lunch. Remind me what you do here? What's there to tell? I'm a herbalist. Make potions and sell them. Get herbs, roots, berries. Boken sighs. I live in the forest. Live off the land. Since leaving... yeah, bring me water and so on. Okay. We already read that about him. Okay. About that, those tasks of yours. Okay. Show me what you have. Body poisons. Honey mushrooms. Okay. Alchemist fire. What does it do? All enemies within a 5-foot burst. Centered on target creature within close range. Okay, 5 foot is not that large. Difficulty class 15. A direct hit deals 1d6 points of fire damage. Takes 1 point of fire damage from the splash. Following a direct hit, the target takes an additional 1d6 points of damage. But not that much, actually. Not that much. Here we have Harem. Harem pulls his beard, muttering something that could be either prayers or curses. Upon noticing you, he winces. What? Ah, it's you, Mara. Did I startle you? I'm sorry. Oh no, that doesn't matter. I was just contemplating the futility of existence and the worthlessness of the universe. The ways of greatness are great. My humble mortal mind cannot fully grasp them, but I do what I can. Harem smiles apologetically. Tell me about your past. My life is divided into 2 parts. The first was filled with blind wandering, doubts and attempts to serve Torak. The second part began when I accepted Crotus into my soul and received a clear vision of the world. What exactly would you like to know about Torak? Torak, also known as Father of Creation, is a stoic and serious dwarven god of the forge, protection and strategy who values honor, planning, and well-made steel. He is an often distant deity, lending magical power to his clerics, but leaving his followers to make their own way through life, knowing that this will make them strongly determined. Where are you from? My life story began in Larat, a city of dwarven clerics and acolytes. They served Torak and the other dwarven gods, Torak's brothers Angrat and Margrim, Torak's wife Folgrid, his daughter Bolka, his sons Grundinar, Kols and Trud, and also Torak's sister Drangvid. Aram curves his lips in contempt. I couldn't be surprised if they built a temple to Torak's pet dog. Sorry, I let myself get carried away. Aram sighs and pulls his beard several times. Larat is the second largest dwarven city in the 5 Kings Mountains. It's built up around numerous temple caverns, which serve as places of worship for all the dwarven gods. Many pilgrims from every corner of Golarion come to Larat to pray to their gods. Some remain to live there. Five Kings Mountains. The 5 Kings Mountains are tall and imposing peaks, rich with ore and iron blue mushrooms. Heavily populated by dwarves, they are the largest center of dwarven culture on or beneath Golarion. Highhelm, the largest dwarven city on Golarion, is located under one of its. This city is simply imbued with faith. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a cleric. It's no surprise, inspired by the aura of the city, that I decided as a young boy to dedicate all my efforts to becoming a cleric of Torek. You once tried to serve Torek? Not just tried, it was a burning passion. I craved it by day and dreamt of it at night. Harim shakes his head, as if amazed by his own stupidity. You see, Mara, from my first days I felt the presence of the god at my back. I heard his whispers and felt his power. Who the nature of his power was unclear to me. I thought Torek himself was trying to speak to me, and I did all I could to understand his words. Oh, what a naive fool I was. I had no idea that Torek, that uncompromising, conceited god, glamorized by all dwarves, was capable of betrayal. He turned away from me, Mara. He left me in the hour when I put all my hopes in him and desperately needed his support. Torek is the god of craftsmanship, so every follower, especially the clerics, must smith their own suit of armor. The day when his work is finished is like the second birthday for a dwarf. He's newly born in the eyes of Torek. Harim sighs heavily and falls silent for a time. My second birthday never came. I couldn't make armor, not even a sword, not even a simple nail. My hammer smashed my fingers and fell on my feet. Molten iron burned my hands. The clerics laughed as they healed me. They used to say I was cursed by Torek. So finally I gave up any attempt to please the betrayer god. Even if Torek really has rejected you, is that enough reason to leave your homeland? You don't know much about dwarves, Harim lets out a sad sigh. How can a dwarf cursed by Torek go on living in a city where every single soul bows to Torek? I was alone, disgraced, humiliated, insulted. A lone tear glints in delight before sliding down Harim's cheek and hiding in his beard. Oh. I was trying to drown my sorrows in drink, but even the owner of the cheapest pub on the road would laugh at me while he puts those mugs in front of me. I wouldn't take it any longer. I wanted everything to end. But there was one thing that kept me going and prevented me from ending my life. I could still hear the divine whisper behind me. It was yet faint. It took a long time before I could hear it clearly, but having heard it once, I would never forget it. It was clear that none of Larat's deities favored me, so I left the 5 Kings Mountains and went out searching. I didn't think dwarves ever worshipped Grotus. How did you learn about him? Oh, but that blessed day became the beginning of a new life. Alone and abandoned by all, I spent many dull hours in a filthy tavern by the roadside. I don't recall the town, nor even the country. I had no money. In fact, all I had was a hunk of stale bread. I was weary and almost fainting from hunger. That was the moment when the whisper from my god became more clear. It was like he was calling me. At last, my sufferings had come to an end. It was a miracle, Mara, and I had paid full price for it with my torments. I couldn't control myself. I walked out of the tavern and straight into the nearest forest, and there I found the ruined temple of Orodin, the lost god. Several figures clad in robes were holding a silent service there, a service to a god I knew nothing of. None minded when I stood beside them. For the first time in my life, I felt myself at home. What is Orodin? Orodin was the immortal Aslan. He raised the star stone from the bottom of the inner sea in 1 AR. And in so doing founded the city of Absalom and ascending to godhood. The prophecy told of his return to Golarion in the beginning of a new age of glory. On the eve of his return, however, his clerics were cut off from his power and terrible storms wrecked the world. Now presumed dead, Aroden's demise ushered in the current age of lost omens. Okay. Switching to water. Need a lot of drink for so much reading. Okay. My new brothers told me that they were clerics of Grotus, the god of end times. They were traveling around Golarion, spreading the teachings of Grotus, despite all the persecution, contempt, and misjudgment they received from others. I gladly shared this burden with them, for now I knew whose voice had whispered to me through all those years. Wait, so you couldn't make even a simple nail and you blamed Torek? Are you suggesting that my problem was not a curse, just my own inability to work with metal? Or maybe you're saying that I was just too lazy? Hiram looks into your eyes defiantly, his hands trembling with suppressed rage as he runs his fingers over his beard. You're a fool if you think so, an ignorant fool. Have you ever met a dwarf who can't handle a smith's hammer? Even our children craft knives. No. Torek is the cause of my sufferings. The betrayer god deliberately cursed me just to make laughingstock of me. Hiram raises his hand and shakes his fist at someone above. But I won't let myself to get angry at you, Mara. You are an ignorant and blind soul, and my aim is to guide you through this dying world that marches towards its end. I will open your eyes or die trying. Grotus will be pleased by either outcome. Okay, let's talk about something else. I'd like to learn more about dwarves. Most dwarves are self-satisfied, stubborn fools serving Torek. They don't deserve my good attitude. Good attitude. Hiram winces. But you can ask what you want to know. I'll try to answer. Tell me about the Five Kings Mountains. The Dwarven Kingdom. Yes. Well, it's to the south from here. It survived many trials, and there will be more yet to come. Hiram strokes his beard, contemplating. There is no unity among the dwarves, Mara. The Five Kings rule over our people. They sit on the thrones of the 5 greatest cities, and with every passing day, it grows harder for them to come to any agreement. The only thing uniting the 5 Kings Mountains is the sky citadel of Highhelm, the great dwarven fortress of the mountain's heart. Sky citadel. Mighty dwarven fortresses that can be found throughout Avistan and Garun, the first to be built by the stout folk when they emerged onto the surface world during the Age of Darkness. Although 10 citadels were built in total, only a few have survived intact to the present day, and fewer still are held by the dwarves. Have the dwarves always lived on the surface? Oh no! Eons ago, all dwarves lived deep beneath the surface, and they did rather well, judging by the historic records. They built fortresses befitting noble dwarfs. Our restless god, Torek, sent us a prophecy, the quest for the sky. He ordered all the dwarves to abandon the fortresses and press upward, to show their beards to the sun, as they say. Quest for the sky. The quest for sky is the ancient dwarven migration to the surface of Golarion from their original homes in the Darkland. Their god Torek had given them a prophecy. When the ground shook beneath their feet, they must press upward to the surface. They took the massive tremors caused by Earthfall in 5293 AR as this sign and began their journey towards the surface, finally emerging there in minus 4987 AR. This journey was long and bloody. Many dwarves perished on the way. Others turned back, keeping to their ancient strongholds, eventually to turn into evil Durgar, grey dwarves. But those who survived reached the surface and founded the Sky Citadels, the most glorious cities in dwarven history. Tell me about the Sky Citadels. Oh, they are the peaks of creation. glorious cities built by the ancient dwarves who'd finally reached the surface after many hardships, performing the final labor in their quest for the sky on the surface of Golarion. Arim's eyes glitter with admiration. They are steadfast, tall, magnificent. They are beautiful. And Golarion is, of course, the planet Golarion orbits a yellow sun in the far reaches of the material plane. Third of 11 in orbit, this blue planet contains vast oceans and lush green land. It is the perfect environment for countless cultures. Indeed, Golarion is the most populous planet in its solar system. Its innately hospitable and life-sustaining environment is presumably the work of the gods, so astronomers sometimes refer to Golarion as the child. Astronomers of other planets, however, often refer to Golarion as the cage, in reference to its cosmic role as the prison of the mad god Rovagug, who lies bound at the world's core. 10 citadels were built by dwarves, but we've managed to keep only a few. The citadels crumbled, and the orcs, sworn enemies of our people, trampled their blessed streets and ruined the gorgeous palaces of the ancient kings. Arim's eyes grow misty and with tears. These were heavy losses, disgrace to our people. High Helm is the jewel of the citadels that remain. It is located at the heart of the mountains, in the heart of every dwarf. Yes, my heart too. There's a dwarven saying that if an enemy reaches High Helm, every dwarf from all the corners of the world will come to defend it. Arim casts a sad glance at you. I'd be there too, but not to help the citadel's defenders. I'd be there to witness the fall of our people with my own eyes and mourn it. I would fall upon the cold stone and raise my final prayer to Crotus. I have some other questions. I'd like to talk about your god Crotus. You wish to learn about Crotus? Arim seems surprised and pleased at the same time. Yes, of course. I will answer anything you ask. What are Crotus' teachings about in a nutshell? Crotus is the end of all that exists. Arim smiled. He's obviously been waiting for this call. Look around, Mara. What do you see? Look again and realize that everything will be destroyed. Our clothing and our armor will turn to dust. The walls of the palaces will crumble into ruins. The trees will fall, and you and I will die much sooner than that. Crotus is a timeless watcher. He's been locked away by Pharasma, the goddess of rebirth. From her boneyard, he watches over the world, knowing the time for the final reaping shall come. He's the bloated moon hanging in the sky. He's the harbinger of the last days. He's the one who will stay when all the others are gone. Pharasma was Lady of Graves, Mother of Souls, Grey Lady. Pharasma is the goddess of birth, death, and prophecy. She shepherds Golarion's recently departed souls to their final reward. Upon death, souls migrate via the River of Souls to Pharasma's boneyard in the outer sphere, which sits atop an impossibly tall spire that pierces the astral plane. She is among the most ancient deities in the multiverse, but keeps her knowledge of the fate of all souls closely guarded. Pharasma has Crotus locked in her boneyard, so she is stronger than Crotus? Of course she's stronger. For now. Arim nods with dignity, stroking his beard. Crotus is weaker than Pharasma, and many other gods. I would be a fool if I tried to claim otherwise. If Crotus were stronger, the end times would already have come, wouldn't they? But the powers of other gods fade away. They dissolve slowly, a grain in a century. Crotus collects those grains and waits. He doesn't need to hurry. He knows that his time shall come. Usually clerics can speak with their gods. What does Crotus say to you? What is his will? Arim shakes his head in resignation. Crotus doesn't speak to his clerics. Actually, Crotus doesn't need any clerics. The dwarf raises his sad eyes to you. He only allows his whispers to be heard, and only by those who are dying to hear it. His words are unclear, but they call to you. His voice comes with the soft rustle of the fallen leaves, with the woeful wailing wind at the mountain pass, with the roar of the raging blizzard. It calls you to strike out on the road. Onwards, always onwards, over the pass, over the bridge and further along. Up ahead, where the edge of the grey rope flashed, and the candle sputtered for the last time before dying. Onwards, always onwards, until your feet can no longer carry you. Orim falls silent, submerged in his own thought. Thanks for telling me about Grotus. I've learned enough for now. Then let me ask you, what do you think about Grotus? I like your tales. There's an inner truth to them. A broad smile spreads across Harem's face. I'm glad you think like that. We'll bring this truth to the whole world and tell everyone that the end is inevitable. Inevitable. Words are difficult. Have you ever regretted your decision to abandon Torek and start worshipping Grotus instead? Your question might seem offensive, Mara, but I'm not offended. I realize you ask it because you wish to learn more about Grotus. Harem squeezes his beard in his fist, but in a moment he lets it free again. Torek betrayed me, Mara. All he's ever done was look down with contempt on all my futile efforts to please him. I crafted armor plates, but they fell apart with a single strike of a fist. I smithed swords, but they broke at the hilt. Torek's priest used to say that such failures were the curse of their uncompromising deity. Harem's fingers grab his beard with such a force that it seems he'll tear a handful of hair out of it. It was Grotus who opened my eyes. He showed me that failure is a manifestation of his will. The end time is near, and every failure is just another step towards it. Torak's curse is only half the reason for mine. The other half is the blessing of Grotus, which I have borne from early childhood. Harem smiles warmly at his thoughts. What? I wish the sound could keep on playing when a game is not in focus, but it is, and it is. So the short answer to your question is no. I've never regretted opening my soul to Grotus. From what I've heard, Grotus doesn't spare the minds of his clerics. They'll go insane eventually. Is that true? Ha! Who told you that? I'd like to look that slanderer in the eye. Harem bursts into laughter, but you can't understand what's so funny. You see, Mara, sanity is quite a relative concept, Harem says as his laughter recedes. Each of us is certain that he's the sanest creature in the world. Meanwhile, we periodically doubt the sanity of others. So what happens if 2 or 3 people claim that someone else is insane? Doesn't that make it true? Perhaps the accusers have lost their mind themselves. Quite possible, yeah. The longer a cleric listens to the whispers of Grotus, the better he comprehends the essence of his designs, and the deeper his understanding becomes. When enlightenment comes, the mind of a cleric ascends to a new level of understanding, which is inaccessible to simpler souls. Is it insanity? This is for you to decide, Mara. My decision was made long ago. When I reach enlightenment, I'll accept it with joy and delight. Okay, we should keep in the back of our heads the possibility that we will have to kill Harem. Just one day, maybe. Well, we just keep it in the back of our head. Okay. Lawful good. Honestly, that's just too much. You're a funny dwarf and you have your peculiarities. But to go insane voluntarily? You should give it up before it's too late. Chaotic neutral. Ha! Well, when you learn Grotus' divine plans, remember to tell me about them. I could use a good laugh. But lawful evil, your eagerness is commendable. A lawful good. Harim sighs and shakes his head. Can't you understand? That's precisely what I want. For it to be too late. Okay. I want nothing to do with your leap. Thanks for the conversation. We'll talk later. Harim nods with dignity. I'll be happy to continue our conversation later. Okay. Weirdo.
In due time.
Okay, this guy needs a therapy. He has to accept his failures, accept that despite being a dwarf, he just sucks at metalwork. Okay? Just get over it, find a new meaning in life, and not worshipping some maniac god.